My favorite Torah on the Haggadah comes from the paragraph of Masib Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, Shayimesubim bivnei Brak, that all these famous Rabbanim, they were reclining, they were having Seder, Leila Seder, and Bnei Brak together. And they were talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim the whole night. Until the students came and they said, Rabbeim, it's reached the time of Kriya Shema of the morning. So how come these Rabbanim were all in Bnei Brak? Isn't Pesach supposed to be a time together with your family? Isn't the point of the Seder, Sibur Yetzias Mitzrayim, Avigat Levincha? Why weren't they with their children? Of course, I guess we could say that maybe their children were there as well. But if not, so then why weren't they together with their families? So I'm not sure when this paragraph was written, but it's very possible that since all of these are Tanaim, that maybe this story took place in the first Pesach after Chorban Beis HaMikdash. And we could imagine that we have a command on this night that we have to see ourselves as if we left Egypt and we're being freed, and that Hashem's in charge of the world and there's always going to be salvation. Could we imagine what that must have been like for the first Pesach after Chorban to try to get to that feeling? How could we feel like Hashem is the Redeemer? How could we feel like we're princes and we're Bnei Chorin if after years of suffering leading up to the Chorban and now the temple's gone? Last Pesach we were bringing Korban Pesach and we were all doing all the regel and we were together as a people, and now this year we don't have anything, not a Korban Pesach, not a Beis HaMikdash at all. So how could they have that feeling? The Gemara at the end of Makos tells us that many of these same Rabbeim were walking on Har HaTzofim, and they looked towards the place of the Beis HaMikdash, and they saw a fox running across the place where the Beis HaMikdash the Kodesh HaKadoshim used to stand. And they started crying that it's so crazy that once upon a time, the only person who could go to that place was a Kohen Gadol once a year, and now a fox just casually runs across it. What a symbol of our destruction. And Rabbi Akiva started to laugh. And they said, Rabbi Akiva, how could you laugh? And Rabbi Akiva answered that now that I see the Nevuah of Uriah, who talks about Sion is going to be plowed over like a field, and Shualim and foxes are going to run there, now that I know that prophecy has taken place, so I know that the prophecy of Zechariah, which talks about old elderly people sitting in the streets of Yerushalayim and listening and watching the joyful playing of the children in the streets of the old city. And in fact, this pasuk is written in a courtyard of the old city, and it's so beautiful to see right outside the Zilberman school where there are always children playing, to hear the sounds and to see the nevuah being fulfilled. But Rabbi Akiva back then already said that now that the nevuah about the foxes came true, the nevuah of Uriah has come true, so now I see the relevance of the prophecy of Zechariah as well. Rav David Miller pointed out that if you read that Gemara very carefully, it doesn't say that Rabbi Akiva's statement was, now that I saw the nevuah of Uriah has come true, so I know that the nevuah of Zechariah will come true. But rather Rabbi Akiva says, now that I saw that Uriah has come true, so now I see that the nevuah of Zechariah miskayemes in the present, that it's happening now. And the strength of Rabbi Akiva was that even amidst the destruction and the Churban, Rabbi Akiva was still able to see Geula. So maybe perhaps this is what all the Rabbanim were doing in Bnei Brak. Bnei Brak was the home of Rabbi Akiva. So right after Churban Beis HaMikdash, on a night when it seemed like it was impossible, like how could we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu and where could we see redemption and miracles? So this was the night they're like, whoa, we got to be Rabbi Akiva because he's going to be the one who's going to show us how to do this in the proper way. And that's why the Talmidim come and say, Rabbeinu, after you got this point, Higia Kriya Shema Shel Shachris. Now we could be ready. Shachris, morning, always represents the dawning light, the coming of a redemption. The salvation is on its way. And it's appropriate then to say the Kriya Shema of our committing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That in this time of challenge as well, when so many of us are alone, and so many of us are not having the Seder that we thought that we were going to have or that we're used to having, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us see that His dominion in the world, how He's really in control, and through that there is redemption and salvation that's already happening. Have an amazing Pesach.